21 years in this industry, and the Kookaburra premium remained the same for 20 years. There is no industry in the world that happens.
It's the Costco hot dog.
Everything goes up, right? Yeah. I don't know if Costco hot dog. I'm not sure if that's the same as in Australia, the Bunnings hot dog, which finally went up this year.
Okay.
You know, like
there's a conspiracy going on in hot dogs.
But in fact, that's why some people still to this day call the Kangaroos nuggets.
Perth Mint product stands out on a vault tour, doesn't it?
Bit of a joke too. You measure your time at the mint by lunar cycles.
Okay.
You know, so I'm getting close to 2 cycles in there.
How fast is the fastest press?
Well, it's double the capacity of the one we currently have. I mean, we've just had a couple of visitors through and they saw the reject bin and they're looking at it trying to find why were they rejected. So we're one of Perth's premier tourist attraction. And on that tour, you also get to see the world famous 1-ton gold coin, which features a kangaroo on it.
Wow. What was the original intent behind doing it?
My CEO said at the time, why? Because we can. You know, our refinery is refining about 230, 240 tons of gold a year.
We'll let all the forums online figure out what conspiracies are going on in Australia right now. You guys are trying to hoard all the gold, it sounds like to me.
You're listening to the SD Bullion Podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome back to SD Bullion's on-site in-vault podcast. We have a very, very special guest with us today from the Perth Mint. The Perth Mint is here in building. I know how many raving fans that SD Bullion has for Perth Mint, for the quality, the products they put out. So today we're gonna get to hear directly from the Mint, get a lot of our questions answered, and I think it's gonna be a great one. So without further ado, let's welcome in Neil Vance from the Perth Mint. Welcome to SD Bullion.
Thanks for having me here. It's great to be at SD Bullion in the USA.
First off, before we kind of get into your background, just give us a little bit of, how was the vault tour compared to the other facilities that you've seen from people in our? I know you're in every part of the industry, and we'll get to all that. But as far as SD Bullion's facilities, what's your feedback? What's your takeaway?
Look, very impressive vault. The facility here that's been built, it's one of the best I've seen. I was really impressed by it.
I know you kept saying it seems like it was a little bit bigger than you were expecting, I think.
Yeah, I think whenever you think of your retail background, you probably don't expect such a big vault.
Yep.
So it was a really impressive size.
Awesome. It's a testament to the business, and you saw the depository growth. Very exciting stuff at SD Bullion. But we're here to talk about Perth today. So just to get us rolling here, Neil, just give us your background. We know who you are. We spend a lot of time with you, but introduce yourself to everybody watching this, and tell us how long you've been at Perth and what you do there today.
Sure. So my name's Neil Vance. I'm the general manager of minted products at the Perth Mint. I've actually been at the Perth Mint for 21 years, so I've seen the markets in ups and downs and all sorts of different cycles. So fair bit of experience in the metals market. My actual role is head of product development and also global sales for the Perth Mint.
21 years. What was your first job at the Perth Mint?
Yeah, I arrived at the Perth Mint managing the Australian market. And it's funny, we've got a bit of a saying at the Perth Mint whereby the job either gets in your blood or you move on. So obviously it got into my blood because I'm here 21 years later. And we also have a lot of people with a lot of tenure at the Perth Mint. We've got our longest serving employees, 35 years. Wow. In my team, I've got 24 years, 22 years. A lot of long tenure. So it's a great company to work for, and it's a great industry to be in.
Now, you say you're over global sales. What markets do those entail, and how have those kind of changed over the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, obviously our home market, Australia, through Asia, China. We look after Europe, East and Western Europe, and of course North America, the USA and Canada. In terms of the markets, the key markets in the coin world, the largest coin market is the USA.
Sure.
Very important market for all the world mints. The second largest market has been Germany, although there have been changes there with a new tax situation. And then Asia, we're technically in the same time zone as Asia, but it's a pretty difficult market. China's got a lot of taxation on the coins when they go in, so it's not a bullion market per se. And then, we've got Singapore right above us, which is a hub for precious metals as well. So, yes, we're playing basically in every part of the world, generally except South America.
Okay. Why is that?
South America, we've just made a decision not to be in there, just generally due to the tax situation, barriers to doing business, and we've decided to make a call on that.
You said the U.S. is the biggest market on your side of the business for bullion sales?
It is. It's the biggest market in the coin world, full stop, and we have the data on that. But it's also the biggest market for the Perth Mint as well.
Is the U.S. market twice as big as the next market? Or
look, I don't have that data on me, but certainly with what's happened in Europe, with the contraction in the silver market, and particularly with this new tax situation in Germany, that has really affected that market, and it has contracted enormously on the silver side. So right now, the USA is well and truly above the European market in terms of sales.
Yeah, for those that don't know, was it last year Germany put a sales tax, effectively we would call a sales tax in the U.S. of, was it 18 or 20%?
I think it was 2 years ago, and I think it was in the high teens on silver, which materially impacted the off-the-street demand because the customers having to pay that premium.
Yeah, it's January the 1st, 2023, and it went to 19%.
For some reason, all the mints remember that date very well.
Yes, well, there was, I guess, there was quite a large buy-up of product at the end of that year. Yeah. And then we've really noticed how affected the market is. And you imagine if you are moving from, let's call it 7% to 19% on your silver bullion coins, that's quite an impact.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens over time in that market. It did coincide at the same time with the market coming off the pace as well. So we don't know what will happen when the next boom comes around.
What have you guys seen in Australia specifically in terms of general demand? How has that changed in the last few years?
Yeah, Australia's been a little bit different. We've not seen as much buyback product coming back into the market, so we've still been selling quite strongly in the Australian market. It's still been a very good market for us. But of course, the Australian market compared to the rest of the world is quite small with a relatively small population.
I know you guys do some buybacks, but before we get into that, just kind of more precursor for everyone, talk about the mint, how long it's been around, how it's owned and governed, just for everyone's benefit.
Yeah, sure. So the Perth Mint started operations in 1899. So actually this year is our 125th anniversary. So we've had quite a bit of celebration this year, and we've had a couple of products we've released to mark that celebration. It started basically because in the state of Western Australia, there was so much gold being found in Kalgoorlie, which is about 800 kilometres east of Perth. And at the time, the governor of the state wanted to be able to process that gold. So they built the Perth Mint as a branch of the Royal Mint. So if you walk up to the gates of the Perth Mint, the Royal Mint is actually on our gates to this day. Okay. So it was one of the 7 different mints that the Royal Mint ran around the world. It was owned by the Royal Mint right up until 1970, and then it was ceded to the Western Australian government. So it was quite a bit of time. Yeah. And of course, Australia is the second largest producer of gold, and Western Australia has the Super Pit, one of the largest open cut gold mines in the world. So there is an enormous volume of gold coming through the Australian market. So having the refinery there in Perth, being able to refine the gold and then add value to it, which, we're really proud of the fact that we can add value to the gold and silver and platinum as well, and take it to the world stage. It's a really great thing that we can do at the Perth Mint.
What do you mean specifically by add value?
Well, I guess for example, in Western Australia, we're quite a mining state, and we would dig a lot of iron ore up, but we would ship it as just iron ore. In this case, we're not shipping the gold anymore. We're actually adding value to it. So we're turning it into a coin. We're turning it into a bar.
I see what you're saying.
And that's the add value component, and then we're exporting it.
Yeah. So when you, I have two questions. Since if you buy gold, can you buy gold from the Perth Mint as a local and go pick it up at the mint?
You can, yes. So we do have a retail division
Okay.
Within the Perth Mint in Australia.
Okay. Do you get when the market gets really heavy, is that line get pretty long to come in there?
Yes, we've had some crazy days with very long lines. One, retail to purchase, and secondly, when the market's turning, people coming in to actually sell old jewellery, old coins, and cash them in basically. So we do run a secondary market, and that's important for us. We believe we need to be able to sell our product, but actually be able to take it back, and that's the liquidity that's important to this market.
Yeah, I didn't know that about the Perth Mint. So you basically are running a retail front. So will you buy any gold and silver product back there? You mentioned jewelry, but do you see other sovereign coins that come in there?
We do. Look, we've got a risk profile on what we buy back, and generally we will buy back LBMA bars,
okay,
and the leading world sovereign mint coins. And then we will buy jewelry, but some of the other product we generally wouldn't take back. If we can't establish where the products come from, we won't buy it back.
Is that just in case they're fakes, or you need the chain of command because are you gonna end up melting some of that and turn it back into gold kangaroos, silver kangaroos?
Yes, it does go to melt. So it's important as part of our sustainability process that we know where the metals come from, particularly when it's going back into our melt.
Okay. So the other question I was going to have, is most of the gold, like the gold kangaroos and all the other gold products you make, and we'll definitely spend time talking about product, is most or all of the gold come from Australia that goes into those products, or do you have to source from other countries? No,
I can tell you that from a refinery point of view, we accept gold from the Oceania region, but mainly most of it is Australia. But then from the refinery to the mint, the only gold that comes into the mint itself is Australian gold, so that we can guarantee that our coins are Australian gold and the minted bars are Australian gold. So our refinery is in a different site to the mint. The mint's actually right in the heart of the city, and the refinery's out near the international airport. So we have great controls in how we control that being Australian gold coming to the mint itself.
You're in the heart of the city. How big is Perth?
The population of Perth, the greater population of Perth, is close to about 2 million people these days. Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a big city for what you guys do right there in the city. Yeah. Is there, I've never been to a mine before, so now I got this curious question because of the other people that we've talked to. When they bring gold out of Australia versus some other part of the world, can you see a difference at that level? Because when you look at the sovereign mint gold coins, all the finishes look a little bit different. Is that because of the base gold that's coming out, or is that just because of the processing style is totally different?
It's really the processing styles. That would be the major reason why the coins would look different.
Yeah. You guys do your own blanking, is that correct?
Correct, yeah. We are fully self-sufficient in blanks, which is really important to us as a business. And we also sell our blanks to other world mints.
You guys were even self-sufficient during the run that we've seen the last handful of years? You guys were able to blank your own stuff?
We 100% blank our own product, even during those busy times. Wow. Now, during those busy times, what we are able to produce and deliver to market will be based on what we can blank, what we can strike, etc.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of steps that go into it, from the refinery to the actual minted product, which has led to some consternation or confusion from some people online, I guess, as of a couple of years ago. You guys had that little back and forth with some of the folks in different forums. I know Reddit specifically. There was a conversation there. Your former CEO kind of did some public statements on that, and so. But people often underappreciate the end user. Yeah, you can get it coming in from money. You get it from a refinery. The materials there. One of the biggest challenges of the market as a whole is getting it into the finished product that is actually retail acceptable, and how many steps go into that?
That's correct. I know the time you're referring to there. I mean, we clearly had all the metal on hand. It's actually a capacity issue. being able to produce either the coins or the bars, that just comes down to your capacity. It was never a problem having the metal there. It was just a problem actually turning it into a finished product you could sell at wholesale retail.
One of the biggest problems over the last couple of years has been blanking capacity. We talk about capacity, there's a lot of different, and there's a lot of people now that can strike something, but they need a fully polished, finished blank that will be perfect for the actual strike they're going for, and that's what's tripped a lot of people up. It's just not having enough blanks. So the blank supply has been both tight over the last couple of years. It's probably lessened now, but also the premiums on blanks alone were higher than what we would have to pay right now on just a silver struck round, which is really interesting. But you guys control it all end to end, which makes a material advantage.
Yeah, I think it's a real advantage to us at the Perth Mint being able to control our blanking.
Yeah,
we have full control over it. Our refinery is refining about 230, 240 tons of gold a year. So, the access to gold is never a problem for us at all. Plenty of refining of silver. So absolutely not a problem with the precious metals we require. It's just, again, if you have a boom, turning it into a finished product.
Have you guys ramped up your capacity on minted product over the last couple of years that you've seen what the demand has been, and how do you do that in a confined space, which it sounds like you have?
Yeah, look, it's interesting. When you're working in an 1899 building, obviously we did extend it, but the original part of the mint is quite a rabbit warren of small rooms, old corridors, and expanding has been difficult. But certainly we are working on our capacity. We have a plan in place to, again, increase our capacity in the next couple of years, both at our refinery and at the mint itself. So from a refinery point of view, we've really been more focused on the Australian market and maybe Southeast Asia, where it's easy to deliver. It's not as expensive as obviously getting product to the USA. But we've actually added all new equipment to the refinery this year, and we're expecting that to really be commissioned and come online early next year, and really bring back the whole core range of cast bars that we can bring to the world markets. And then from a minting point of view, we've just installed the fastest press that we've ever purchased. So that again takes us to another level on capacity if when the next boom comes.
How fast is the fastest press?
Well, it's double the capacity of the one we currently have. So I mean, to give you an idea, during the COVID period, the most amount of coins we made in a year was 19 million. So we're going to be able to make a lot more coins. So that's a real positive. But again, you have to get your blanking right. Everything has to fall in line to be able to deliver that. So it's not without its challenges, but we're certainly gearing up for it.
Yeah.
How long does it take to bring a press like that online, from the very start to making the calls to finding the press, negotiating the deal, getting it shipped? I assume it's shipped, installed, tested, running. Is that over a year process to do something
Absolutely.
like that?
It's probably a 12 to 18 month process. The presses we buy are in Germany. They're generally made on site in Germany. We then have someone go over and inspect them and actually use them, make sure they're hitting to our quality specifications. Then they're dismantled and then shipped by sea over to Perth, and then the company that supplies the press actually sends people over to build it up again, and we commission it with them there.
Wow.
It's a
process.
Real process.
Do you feel that controlling your blanking process allows you guys to make, in my opinion, personally, one of the best looking series of coins available in the retail marketplace? Because, I mean, the reverse proof finish, this is a Lunar, obviously. The reverse proof finish that we have on this, along with the Kookaburra, the Koala, things like that, you feel like the blanking process is a material advantage there?
Look, I think the blanking process for us, the advantage is our ability to control our capacity to produce coins. It's what you do with the blank that gives you the quality of the coin. I think one of the real differences in the Perth Mint is our quality. It's something we really focus on. I mean, we've just had a couple of visitors through from a bullion company in Australia, and they saw the reject bin, and they're looking at it trying to find why were they rejected. But that's a key to us because we really believe in our quality, and our customers really love our quality. You know, our Gold Kangaroos come in the capsules, so they're really protected and maintain that beautiful finish for years to come. You know, I think our proof coins stand for themselves. We know when they grade, they grade at some of the highest levels of any coins in the world. I mean, quite often we get 90+% in the 70 range in the grading. So it's very high. So we put a lot of work into every stage of our manufacturing of the coins, from blanks right through to get those finishes.
Hey SD Bullion fans, thanks for taking the time to check out today's episode of the SD Bullion Podcast. If you're enjoying it so far, let us know down in the comments section and toss this episode a like. In case you haven't heard, we've got a monster-sized giveaway going on in 2025. The Monster Box Sweepstakes is back, and you could win a monster box of the SD Bullion 1-ounce Silver Tree of Life coins for free. And who doesn't love free silver? Click the link in the description down below or head over to sdbullion.com/sweepstakes to enter for your chance to win.
Speaking of the Lunar Series, what are we on? Series 3?
We're on Series 3.
Was the Perth Mint the original creator of the Lunar Series?
Look, the Lunar Series obviously started in China, but we were the first foreign mint to start it. So we started it back in 1996. So we've been going at it for 2.5 series. So, you know, it's a bit of a joke too. We use in Perth where you measure your time at the mint by lunar cycles. Okay. You know, so I'm getting close to 2 cycles in there, which is interesting. But the Lunar Series has been really important for us, and it's interesting when you go back. I mean, I started at the mint in 2003, so we were 7 years into the first series. And at the start, it took off well in certain regions and not in other regions. Some people were quite a bit of pushback.
Okay.
You know, they didn't actually like the fact that it was maybe a Chinese-themed Lunar New Year coin. And then what we find now is everyone knows the story, the lunar story. So they're so much more receptive. And then they know about the quality of our coins, the sellouts. So, you know, we've never played with that 300,000 silver mintage, the 30,000 gold mintage on the 1-ounce coins. They continue to sell out each year and have been very popular.
We go to the World Money Fair show every year in Berlin, and so there's a lot of German coin dealers that bring their inventory or participating in that show. And I always tell people that are new to the industry, like, you want to understand what will be widely accepted as you sell it. Go around in a different market and see what people are actively bidding on. And the Lunar Series, by far, along with maybe 2 or 3 other programs, is one of the most widely, like, yep, I'll pay you a premium for that. Not only will I get it for the metal, but I will pay you a premium because there are collectors across the globe. And that's really a unique feature of a lot of your products, frankly. Lunar's kind of leading the show there, but the Kookaburra and Koala are probably amongst that. That's something you guys have been very careful in cultivating with keeping your mintages fixed.
Yeah.
A lot of other mints struggle with, taking the cheese, so to speak, on just, you know what, the market wants more, we'll make more, which I understand to a degree. Talk us through the decision-making there and how you guys are able to stick to your plan.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I guess when you get to the end of a Lunar Series and you start talking about the next one, the question always comes up, do we raise the mintage? Look, at this point, we're on our 3rd series and we've decided not to do that. And it's just because we've created this great series that, again, our collectors and investors love. And therefore, you know, I think we want to reward them when the next series comes around and keep them happy and keep them buying. So we've decided to stick to our guns and just hold those mintages as they are. Now, there's other sizes in this series that are unlimited, so you can buy those in unlimited numbers, but those 1 ounce, which is obviously the key size, remain fixed at those mintages. Yeah. I mean, we added the platinum in to Series 3, so that was something new. But, you know, again, we kept that mintage very tight, 5,000 pieces. It's probably one of the lowest platinum bullion coin mintages in the world, but again has sold out, and it's just added a nice little extra to the series without, blowing it away and creating too much.
Yeah.
Chase said earlier that we have a lot of avid fans of Perth Mint product that are customers of SD Bullion, and you touched on both points. You touched on quality already, and then you talk on mintage and protecting the customer and rewarding them and incentivizing them for staying involved. That takes a lot of determination and keeping your eye on the prize.
Well, it's I can imagine those meetings. It's hard, but I got to see firsthand the U.S. Mint mess it up with the America the Beautiful series they did. They went out, limited mintages, got a lot of followers, and when you go from a 30,000 mintage to 100,000 plus mintage on a 5-ounce coin, and it ruined the series really quickly for at least that year. And they learned and they came back. So from a business perspective, it's hard to watch something sell out and go, oh, we could make more money, but for the customer base, and that's what keeps people in it. And I know some of our customers that will literally only buy Perth Mint, a lot of the Lunar Series, because of that specific reason, because they know that if they hold it, the premium is going to go up over the long term, and they're going to have that value as well as the base metal value as well. And if you buy them when they first come out, you get them at a really good rate. Right?
Yeah, and look, the other thing we have is we've got the Silver Kangaroo. That's unlimited. So from a business perspective, we can look at that and say that is our unlimited bullion silver coin. So we don't really need to mess with these lunar cookers, koalas, etc. We can leave them where they are because we've got that other product.
Whenever you evaluate the Kangaroo versus other options on the marketplace, what things does the Mint feel makes the Kangaroo stand out and becomes an attractive option?
Yeah, look, I think when the Kangaroo came to market in late 2015, and I think we just had that great design, which is one of the original Kangaroo designs that we put on the silver coin. We decided to go with a monster box of 250 because the weight of the monster boxes are actually quite heavy, and this is actually a lot lighter and actually can fit in safes, smaller safes and all those sorts of things. So I think that's an advantage to it as well. And again, the quality of the coin, I just saw some in your vault, and they were sitting there with the tube open, and they looked absolutely in pristine condition.
Perth Mint product stands out on a vault tour, doesn't it? We're walking through, and
in a good way.
It's easy to identify. There's only 3 or 4 mints in the globe that can accomplish that.
Yeah, in a good way. Sometimes products stand out in a vault tour, in not a good way. We do have an exclusive product with them every year, right? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, this started, I believe it was 3 years ago, where you guys do the platinum. You mentioned the platinum, and we were looking for an entry point. We were small. We're still a small company in some ways now, and we said, well, can we just get on the board with something as an exclusive, just serve our customers? The mintage is 188 coins. It's visible, slabbed up on the screen, and we do that annually. Is that something that you guys are really happy with? And
yeah, I think it's great. I think it was great foresight from SD Bullion to look for something different like that, and it was great that we were able to deliver. And it's added again another new bow. So just when we've come in with a bullion platinum lunar coin for the first time, we also had the proof numismatic piece that we've done exclusively through you, and it's sold out again every year. It's been very successful.
It sells out. I mean, 188 coins is. I don't want to tell everyone how to think about things. That's inconceivably low for a mintage, and it's a no-brainer, especially with a brand like the Perth Mint. Anyway, so you talk about grading quality, and the Lunar Series. You talk about grading quality. We have to be careful how much we send because they're going to grade pretty much all of them as 70s, and we want to have some raw coins just in the box to sell to customers. But we always sell it out within the first couple of days, and it's something that's been a great success. We hope to continue building on that smartly as we go down the road.
Yeah, it's currently, I think, our only exclusive with Perth, right? But I got some ideas to pitch you at lunch today, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
It's this whole sheet that we're looking at.
So back to the Kangaroo. You started at Perth in 2003. Kangaroo goes in 2015. So I have to imagine, at that point in your career, were you on the panel, the team that had the ideation, the concept, the idea of Kangaroo, or?
Yeah, look, quite a bit of work went into that Silver Kangaroo. The reason is we didn't have the capability to produce the Silver Kangaroo in the quantities we wanted unless we actually extended the mint at the time.
What were the quantities you guys were thinking of at the time? Now, this was 2014, 2013 when you were making the decision to go.
Yeah, at the time we were thinking about 5 million coins a year.
And now you're at 19, going on 38.
Well, the 19's all coins. The Kangaroo was about 13 million of those.
Okay.
But so we had to extend the mint, which is a lot of effort. Obviously, we're in a heritage building in the middle of the city, so extending's always difficult. So there was a lot of approvals we had to go through for that. Then we had to increase our blanking capacity at that point. So we had to add in new blanking equipment and a new speed press at that time. It was really quite interesting because we had built up, I always remember it was a few million coins on hand for the launch. And I don't know if you remember or your customers will remember, but this was the silver boom of late 2015. Yep. And we launched into that silver boom. And I still remember to this day it was the Perth Mint's best ever month because all those coins went.
It looked like the best decision ever.
And it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. But, at that point we'd just made the decision that strategically we wanted to pivot and move with this unlimited silver Kangaroo coin to join the gold coin, and I guess take us to the next stage.
What year did the gold coin release?
86 on the gold proof and 87 on the gold bullion, and they were nuggets.
They started as nuggets until
late
90s.
Yeah, 89. There was
89.
3 years of nuggets.
Okay. What's the technical difference in a nugget and a coin?
Well, it was just a nugget design.
Oh, it's literally okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of had a rock on it, right?
Yeah, it was. We did a 3 years of different designs on each size and different designs each year. And in fact, that's why some people still to this day call the Kangaroos nuggets, because they started as a design of a nugget.
Okay.
And then I think a really smart decision by the people at the Perth Mint at that time decided I think the Kangaroo would make more sense long term, and it's been that way ever since. So
I see. And why does the design on the Gold Kangaroo change every year, but not the silver?
Yeah, again, that's a bit of our history, where we used to do the proof coin and the following year the bullion, and then each year change the design. So quite often you'd see the bullion of the following year be the same design
as the proof.
As the proof. And it kept changing. And so, again, we want to maintain that history. It's not easy to come up with a new Kangaroo every year, but we've become pretty successful at doing that, and we continue to do it. We felt the silver was a little bit different in that, the silver coins out there are the same every year, and we wanted to kind of be in that space.
Okay.
And we just felt from a manufacturing perspective also there's just a lot more efficiencies from that point of view.
Yeah.
So staying on the Silver Kangaroo, comes in boxes of 250. From a premium perspective, it's one of the most accommodating for stackers whenever they're looking at a sovereign coin. What can I get for the lowest premium possible? What other priorities do you guys have as you envision the future of the Silver Kangaroo, and where do you see it in the global kind of marketplace in Germany and Asia? It's probably more widely accepted there than other coins. So what are your all's visions for it?
Yeah, certainly we still want to grow the Kangaroo sales, and we're looking at marketing plans, what we can do. It's always interesting how much you want to put into marketing plans when the market's a little bit flatter like this, obviously. But we're always looking to grow market share, and we think we've got the right product to do it. Again, the competitive price point, the great design, the quality finish. We've got the micro letter as a security feature there. So we think we've hit all the right notes there.
Yeah, and it's one product that you get it in hand and it looks phenomenal. Always, we talked about it standing out in the Vault Tour. Yeah. With Gold Kangaroos, those come individually encapsulated. Again, beautiful coin, has two finishes, unlike a lot of other gold bullion coins. Also at a reasonable price point, that's got to be globally a top 3 or 4 coin annually, right?
It is, and again, a lot of people in America would call it a reverse proof because the finishes are so beautiful, but it is our gold bullion finish.
Yeah.
But it's just the work we put into the tooling and the finishing to make sure we get that beautiful finish on the coin. It really stands out.
One common question we get from stackers as they're new to the marketplace: why does it come in a capsule? Either they're asking why the other coins they get don't come in a capsule, or they're asking why the Kangaroo comes in a capsule. And we always try to tell people that's to your advantage. It's going to protect the coin. Yeah, you can get it out if you so choose, but by far it's going to protect it way more than anything else that you can do.
Yeah, I think historically the Gold Kangaroo's always been in a capsule, and it makes sense to keep it in the capsule because of, again, the finish on the coin is so good. And gold's really quite soft. So by keeping it in this protective capsule, you keep that beautiful finish.
And that's more expensive for you guys to do that for the end user as well, by probably a wide margin. That's one reason a lot of people don't do it. So it's kind of another example of commitment to the end user that the marketplace really acknowledges and endorses, really, in the secondary market. So we're talking about, of course, the lunar and the different finishes. Some designs and animals are more popular than others. What have been the biggest takeaways for you guys? What seems to be the favorite?
Yeah, look, without a doubt, it's the dragon. 3 series in, we see it every time, and that's why we've got the coloured dragons this year with 9 different dragons. In China, everyone wants to be a dragon. It's the favourite year by a long way. After that, there's a bit of a gap. And generally we see the tiger and the horse as probably the next two. And most of the rest are probably on a fairly even keel. But the point I'll always make is we're still selling out every year of the 300,000 1 ounce, the 30,000 gold. They still remain incredibly popular as a whole series. And we know that people are collecting all 12.
Yeah. So you guys have done some selective coloring and stuff as well, which the market absolutely loves. We see that stuff at coin shows and things like that. One question I have is, you have the dog, is the Lunar Year of the dog. Who gets to make the final say on what breed you pick?
That's actually a funny question, because the dog is one of the hardest designs, just because that's the exact question. What breed do you actually end on to design? Whereas generally everything, I mean, even the other day we actually had the horse designs, and we're talking about potentially what horses we're using, and I'm thinking, well, the good thing is you can tell me what horse that is, but it generally looks like a horse.
Yeah.
Dogs are very different, so that's a different one. We haven't got to that point yet, but that will be an interesting discussion within our product development group.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the other flagship programs that Perth Mint offers.
Talked about the Kook and the Koala yet, which are
super popular.
Every year,
We're obviously happy to get those direct with you guys now annually. You have the Kookaburra and the Koala. Now the mintage on which one is higher?
The Kookaburra is 500,000. The Koala is 300,000. And the Kookaburra actually goes back to 1990 when it was introduced. So that was the first silver coin. And, in a 1 ounce size, and then a kilo size. And, before we made our 1 ounce kangaroos, we used to actually make a lot of kilo silver coins. But now our focus is more on the 1 ounce size.
And the designs change every year for both.
Yeah. They do. And again, the finishes are absolutely stunning, and they're protected in the capsules.
That's the other thing, is they come in sleeves, shrink wrapped in what rolls of 20, I believe.
Correct.
Which, if you're a collector, like, what else could you want? It just comes ready to go.
Yeah, and again, we know people are collecting the Kookas and Koalas every year.
Yeah. Whenever you evaluate, we keep talking about collectors, clearly that's top of mind for you guys as much as anything whenever you're evaluating product decisions. So
even at the bullion level.
So correct. Yeah. So what does that evaluation look like for you guys as you're making decisions years in advance? You're clearly keeping an eye out for the collector.
Yeah, look, we've got a whole process we go through with our product development team. We're looking at the themes. So we're probably looking about 3 to 4 years out, and what themes we think are going to be popular, where they're going to fit in our schedule. Then we think, okay, what design elements are we going to try and do with that theme? And then what kind of size coin and finishes on that coin? Is it a large size coin? Is it an antique? Is it gilded? And we kind of go through and work through what we think will work best for each theme.
I got a question real quick on the Kook and the Koala. Which one is your favorite, the Kook or the Koala?
I personally like the Kookaburra.
Me too. I love the Koala, but I don't know. I like
same boat.
And when you go back and we have a pretty good selection on our website of all the backdated ones. There's some really, really cool Koala designs over the years. Kookaburra designs over the years.
There is.
That really stick out.
Yeah, I mean, I live near a lake with kookaburras around the lake, so they laugh at me every morning when I'm walking the dogs. They've got one of the most amazing laughs you'll ever hear. one of my favourite designs was the one with the spider web.
Okay.
Just a stunning design.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think even this year, the design has been stunning, and we've also done the show special for Germany with the little green man. That was very popular as well.
Okay. Yeah. So do you ever try to talk to the Kookaburras and get any design ideas from them on your walks?
No, but I do take photos of them. Just to,
They're like, what is this guy?
See if I can inspire the studio.
Yeah. Nice. This is what they look like in nature.
Yeah.
While we're on that weird topic, have you ever seen a kangaroo in the wild?
In the wild, yes.
Not in the wild, but
In your backyard.
In your backyard.
They're not in our backyards. However, I play golf every week, and there are kangaroos on the golf course.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the closest you've ever been to one?
Extremely close, and it does get worrying when you go up against one of the big boys, and it's sort of sitting right next to your ball. That's when you get a little bit nervous.
They'll come over and set by your ball. They find your
They're
ball
marking
for
it.
you. Maybe if you hit it in the fairway, that wouldn't happen. Do you know that?
That's true.
Maybe they're looking for a tip. Have you considered that? Just they found your ball, just give them a little cash.
I think the best thing is just not to hit them with the ball. That's probably
they don't like that.
We had a team meeting. There was you probably saw the video where the kangaroo has a dog in a headlock, and the guy goes out there and not really sure what to do, but he knows he has to get his dog out of there, so he just throws a right jab at the kangaroo. Have you seen this? No. Really? It was very popular in the States, so then it inspired the question of, how would we personally fare in a boxing match against a kangaroo, and if it's going to overwhelm us, how many of us would it take to hold our own?
It depends how big they are.
Yeah.
And you don't actually need to worry about their paws, it's their legs. If they go back on their tail with their hind legs, you don't want to be near them.
It's game over.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is, if you're golfing in Australia and they have your ball, just let them have it.
Let them have the ball, and always have your club at the hand.
Okay. That's amazing. I didn't realize you could go golfing and see kangaroos. That's great.
If you buy precious metals, you know that price is pretty important. At SD Bullion, we get that, and that's why we strive to have the lowest prices around. We have new products and sales all the time, so head over to SDBullion.com and see what's new. Need help making a purchase? No problem. Give us a call, and SD Bullion customer support will answer any of your questions and help you complete your purchase. Now it's time to sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of this episode.
So a lot of product that we see here, some of it comes in, mint box, proof coins, things like that, encapsulated. The main story, the main theme is that it kind of preserves the opportunity for a product to be considered collectible, which is really important for a lot of end users, stackers. You're buying the base metal. Eventually, maybe you want to sell that back. Are you just going to get the metal, or are you going to get some premium on top of that? Pretty much your all's brand from the start has been aligned to support that type of behavior and that type of collector. So whenever people are buying a Kookaburra, a Koala, or a Lunar, they are met with a little bit of an upfront premium that maybe they don't get with a silver round, for example, but they do, as we talked about, get that on the sell side. As we now see the U.S. collectible marketplace evolving, and there's things like trading cards, there's kind of more modern collectibles available. The U.S. Met's producing more kind of collector-oriented products. You guys were a little bit the original producers that were looking towards that. How do you see that balance, and do you feel like your all's product creates an interesting gateway from a bullion stacker into collecting more coins and things that are collector-oriented?
Good question.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. When I first started at the Perth Mint, a lot of people use the term bullion collectors, which kind of sounds a little bit unusual. But I think the Perth Mint, in its early history, probably it didn't have the capacity of some of the other mints. So a lot of our coinage did come out with mintages. The interesting thing you said about premiums, I was actually saying to my team the other day that I've been 21 years in this industry, and the Kookaburra premium remained the same for 20 years. There is no industry in the world that happens. I just cannot think of one.
Dog.
Yeah, right. Like everything goes up, right? Yeah. I don't know if Costco hot dog. I'm not sure if that's the same as in Australia, the Bunnings hot dog, which finally went up this year.
Okay. There's a conspiracy going on in hot dogs.
But so we've managed to hold that for so long. But, we put a lot of work into that finish. It's not a standard bullion coin. There's a lot of work, a lot of crafting goes into producing such a beautiful coin. So, yes, it is a higher premium, but you have that lower mintage associated with it.
And then you have colorized, you guys have privy coins. This all points people down the path of why am I buying coin A versus coin B, and you guys answer that question for the end user better than any other mint. So testament to that. Yeah,
look, we really want to give our collectors and investors the option of buying a bullion coin or a collector coin. And, we've got strong linkage between our major series in both bullion and collectibles. So that's really important to us. They're able to choose what they want to be in and buy multiple products if that's what they like. So I think having the right offer for our collectors is really important to the Perth Mint.
So we've got to talk a lot about product, especially minted product. That's kind of what you run now. But let's circle back. We haven't got to talk too much about actual Perth Mint. We know that it started in 1899. We know that it sounds like so. How much of the Perth Mint facility is original from 1899? Percentage-wise?
Yeah, so I don't know the percentage-wise, but we've got our beautiful old building sitting there, which is our retail shop.
Okay.
So you can come in through the main gates into this beautiful old limestone building and walk in, and there's the coin shop, the jewellery shop, and the bullion trading area. And then we've got offices on the second floor. And the old mint actually adjoins that at the back. And then you can see where we've extended over to the right-hand side with a whole new building that's also multiple story, 3 floors, and then a office block that's two stories as well on the site. And that's just our East Perth site. Out the refinery, we've extended the refinery quite substantially over the last couple of years with new buildings and new equipment going in as well there. The building at Perth Mint is heritage listed, so anything we do to that, we have to check with the Heritage Council, so we have to maintain that building, and it really is a beautiful building. It's beautifully lit up at night when people drive past, and people are always really impressed when they come to the building itself.
What other services is the Perth Mint involved in the market?
Yeah, so look, obviously, because the name is the Perth Mint, everyone thinks of the mint first off, but we actually are one of the largest gold refineries in the world. The refinery's up near the international airport. It moved there in 1990. The actual original refinery was in the original Perth Mint building. And in fact, if you're doing the tourism tour, you'll see the holes in the wall where the furnaces used to be.
Oh, wow.
That moved in 1990. As well as the refinery, we have a depository. We hold over $7 billion in precious metals for clients all over the world.
$7 billion.
Correct.
Okay, and that's at the refinery facility or the city facility?
Both facilities have storage. Wow. Yep. Okay. We also have tourism. So we're one of Perth's premier tourist attractions. We get about 80,000 people coming through a year. They literally come through, they get the guided tour, the history of the building, the history of gold production.
Did they get to see on that tour, do you see any gold production at all, any minting or anything?
When you get to the back, the end of the tour, there are windows through to our production facility, so you can see presses in operation. And on that tour, you also get to see the world famous 1-ton gold coin, which features a kangaroo on it, and Queen Elizabeth II.
1 ton gold coin?
It's actually, yes, it is. It's actually, it's on display every day. It's actually 1 ton and 12 kilos.
Okay. It's like running a 26.2 mile marathon.
And it's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's largest gold coin.
That's amazing. So, what year was that made?
That was made in 2011. And funny enough, it's actually been on tour a couple of times. It's been to New York, it's been to Germany, and it's been to Hong Kong.
Wow. What was the original intent behind doing it? Was it a marketing kind of play?
Quite an interesting one. Our CEO said at the time, why? Because we can.
Okay.
So he actually pushed for the production team to do it, because at the time it was going to be pretty tough.
Yep.
And when you see the 1 ton gold coin, there's actually a video of how it was produced, and it's pretty amazing how they actually did it. We'll probably only ever produce that one coin, but it's great that it's a part of a attraction there.
How many offers have you had to buy it?
Oh, we had a couple of people interested at the start, but we've turned it down. We've decided it's a major feature for the Perth Mint, and we want to hold it there.
So it's got a 12 kilo rounding error on the other side. This is a 1 kilo gold coin right here from Perth Mint, which is massive, but it's kind of unfathomable to think about.
Pretty hard to hit 1 ton on the dot. I think when you're getting to that size. So no, it's look, we're really proud of it as well. And also on the tour you get to see the first coin ever struck at the Perth Mint, which is an 1899 sovereign, and we actually have the whole provenance behind that, the letter from the mint master stating this was the first coin. We've got the packaging, everything. It's pretty amazing, and that's on display, and that's a really important artifact for us to hold for the people of Western Australia.
How many total employees are at the Perth Mint?
Yeah, at the moment we're about 700 people across the 2 sites.
Okay. Do you remember how many people were there when you started?
Oh yeah, it was probably just shy of 400.
Okay, wow, so 300 people since you've been there.
It has grown a lot.
So you've seen a lot.
Absolutely, yeah, a lot of change, and I've seen the different market cycles too. So I was there during the global financial crisis, 08-09.
Yep.
As they said, that silver boom in 15, 16, through to the pandemic, 20 to 22.
You've been around for enough of those market cycles, as you said, that it gives you unique perspective as you're managing product development, which you said you and your team, you're over product development. How's that shape your decision making? It seems, from my perspective, that your eye's more on the horizon consistently, and you're not reacting to what's happened in the last 6 months.
Yeah, look, I think the important thing in this industry is just to have a bit of sensibility around where the market's at, because if you have been around for a while, you've seen the good times and you've seen the bad times or the more difficult times. A lot of people came into this industry during the pandemic and all they had seen was the good times, and then as the market has eased off, they're all going, what's happened here? Well, no, sorry, that's just normal. We're back onto a more even keel. I guess what the mints don't see is obviously, from a worldwide point of view, is the buyback element. We obviously get the stories from all our distributors on what's happening, and then we get the buybacks at the Perth Mint, which are on a small scale. So it's interesting to know how the market's still going. So we know that people are still buying, but a lot of it is secondary market product at the moment.
Yep.
And that's just the nature of the industry. People are buying this product to be liquid.
It's to be liquid,
and therefore at the moment they're taking that liquidity point.
It's very healthy to have a robust secondary market as a part of what we all trade in, whereas the last 5 years has really not provided any of that. But we've seen the run up in metals. Gold's at all-time highs. Silver's knocking on the door of 33 every now and then. But you said earlier that you're seeing, even though the U.S. is seeing a decent amount of selling, and it has for most of this year, 2024, in Australia, you guys are seeing very little of that in terms of the average end user deciding to go sell that gold and silver back.
Yeah, the Australian market's been stronger on the primary Perth Mint direct product rather than the secondary. There hasn't been as much secondary around. So that's just an unusual quirk within the Australian market, that it's not selling back as much as the other markets.
Would you think that's maybe an embodiment of the evolution of thinking about gold and silver in certain markets amongst the general populace compared to other parts of the world where maybe they're more or less impacted by decisions of...
I think it all depends on, where a country sits at in terms of politics, in terms of where it's at economically. Where did people buy that metal at? Are they happy to hold? So I think that's probably more the factors there, and at the moment in Australia they seem happy to hold.
Yeah, similar to Germans who have seen some major geopolitical things in their country's history. That's why they're the second largest market. Uniquely, the Germans consider 10%. I think is whenever we talk to them individually, like the average person off the street, they're very open minded to buying and holding gold and silver.
They look at it as savings, not an investment.
Exactly.
Type of vehicle. Has Australia experienced a lot of inflation like the U.S. has over the last couple of years?
It has. Look, I think every country around the world's experienced this inflation, and we've had it as well. And interest rates up, all those sorts, similar economic factors.
Yeah. I know we have a lot of people that sell because of that, right? So that is driving some of our secondary market, I think, here in the U.S. is people are just having to, unfortunately, pay bills, right? Because life is getting so much more expensive, and with gold and silver, doing what they've done, we've definitely seen a lot of buybacks. But it's so interesting why, because I think even overseas that we talk to, there's a lot of stuff selling back. So
we'll
have to let all the forums online figure out what conspiracies are going on in Australia right now. You guys are trying to hoard all the gold, it sounds like to me.
Look, it's interesting. I talk to a lot of distributors around the world, and every country, bar none, where we have a distributor, they all say the same two things: the cost of living crisis and the inflation run-up. It's just across the world.
What's interesting is that the purpose of buying physical gold and silver is not to treat it like any other investment necessarily and look at it as investments in storage of value more often than not, unless you're going on the collectible side. Yet whenever they see gold go up a little bit, like any other stock, they're like, okay, time to sell. It's like, well, actually, if you look at what premiums are and what the marketplace is and how much product's available, it may not be the smartest. Yet, so the retail investors kind of got it a little bit wrong at times, depending on who they are and how new they are to the market. Whereas the more savvy people, like even banks, are the ones that are not selling right now. They're seeing premiums and they're seeing the price of gold. And, out of Europe, we're hearing a lot of this. Like they're saying, no, we're good. We're sitting pat. So some of these segments, pre-33 gold, for example, kind of bounces in terms of premiums because they're like, nope, we're not going to sell anything.
Yeah, I think one interesting thing about the industry is things are not staying the same. The economical factors that may have influenced purchase in the past may not be the same going forward. This is the first time I've seen such a strong run-up in the gold price, probably without that huge demand and that kind of, we always talk about the fear of missing out and all that sort of thing. We haven't seen that this time around. So is that just everyone's more savvy? We're not too sure. Is everyone nervous about where the price of gold is and that they're just on hold? It's a bit of an unknown at this point of view.
Personally, I'm of the opinion that we'll look back in a couple of years. It feels like we'll look back and be like, man, I'd love to be able to get into silver at $30. Like, it's just how these things usually generally trend. It's not a prediction. But
well, it's interesting in Australian dollars. Obviously, the Australian dollar is weaker than the US dollar. We are getting close to 4,000 on 1 ounce of gold, which, you kind of thought a few years ago, would we ever get there? And silver is, it was about $47 the other day. I think it's back to about 45 Australian. But, if you remember during the GFC, silver did top out at $50. And it's taken this time in Australian dollars to get nearly back there. But, if it pushes $50, it's certainly getting into an interesting point in Australian dollars.
You guys do several different things in the market. Which side of the business is the biggest, and does that change year over year depending on what's going on across the world?
It depends what you're talking about there. I mean, for example, we have our treasury team selling kilo gold bars. And for example, when the Indian or Chinese markets are taking a lot of gold bars, that's an incredible business. And the value of it is incredibly strong just because you're selling tons of kilo bars at that time. The profitable area for the Perth Mint, the most profitable area is actually the coins. So we're obviously very focused on the coins, and we're always trying to keep our people busy and keep our collectors and investors happy as well with our product offering.
Yeah. That's interesting you brought up selling basically into the treasury. What all countries do you guys sell into at that level?
Well, those markets, certainly from where we are based in Perth, have very much been Asia, which has generally been China, and the Indian markets. They're the two big users of gold. So that's where most of those bars have been going.
Can those countries just not buy internally? They just don't have enough to fulfill what they're looking for, so they have to look to someone like yourself to help fill those orders? Or?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, Neil, so you've been at the Perth Mint for a long time. I have to imagine you've seen some really big challenges over the years. What's one of the bigger challenges that you've had to face there at the Perth Mint?
Yeah, probably two of the biggest challenges I've faced have probably been in the last few years. One would be COVID, where the demand went so high and you suddenly had to be able to produce and satisfy as many customers as you could. But you also had to look out for your staff, keep everyone safe. And we managed to keep everyone employed at the Perth Mint. That was a real positive for us at that time. So we really got through the COVID challenge really well and positively in the end. Coming after that was the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, which led to the effigy change. And it probably doesn't sound that hard, but it actually means you have to change all your tooling. Every tool you have for a 1 ounce silver, a half ounce, a quarter ounce, a tenth, gold, silver, platinum, you're basically changing. And it puts enormous pressure on one particular department in the company, which is the tool and die area. And it's probably taken a good 12 months to get over that change. Although we were still fairly quick in getting the effigy to market. I mean, we came out with the first King coin in February this year. It was still a lot of planning. We had the Queen's commemorative effigy for 1 year as well, which I thought was a really nice way to, I guess, have the last Queen effigy on a coin, and then moving into the King Charles coins. But yeah, it was a real challenge.
How long did it take you to turn all that around?
Wow. Well, we ended up with the first King effigy in January, February this year, 2024, and the Queen passed away in September 2022.
Wow. That's amazing.
So we actually changed the effigy twice, if you think about it.
Yep.
We went to the Queen's commemorative effigy and then the King's effigy. So it was an incredible amount of work. But again, we're really happy with the result of how the effigy looks on the coins, and we move forward with our new King.
Yeah. So, well, that's a segue right into the next question. Why is the King on coins produced in Australia?
Yeah, so Australia remains a Commonwealth country, so therefore the King of England is also the King of Australia. So we're not a republic. We are a Commonwealth country.
As you're looking back on your history of the Mint, what do you think the biggest accomplishment is? What would you look to?
Yeah, I certainly think being part of the team that brought the Silver Kangaroo to market would be the proudest achievement. So I know that coin is going to be around for a long time for the Perth Mint. So that makes me really proud that I was part of that team. A lot of work went into that, and I think we've seen the results over the last few years. It's been fantastic, and we've got a real cornerstone for the future moving forward with that silver coin.
It really is a part of history that you're very much involved in constructing. That's got to be a legacy kind of building thing that you're proud of. It
is. Look, it's interesting. Our design team, they all get to put their initials on the coin, and you just see the pride they have in that. And I always say to my team and new members of my team that it's really important to take in the history of the Perth Mint, because what we're doing is producing the next piece of history every day with our new coins, our new range. And I think that's really important. So history is a really important point for me when you're working in the product development team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not a lot of jobs you get to do in life where you're literally creating something that's going to be consumed for, well, who knows, hopefully another thousands of years.
Yeah.
Speaking of the job, we didn't really get to cover this yet. How how did you even come across working at the Perth Mint? Were you in gold and silver before, or what were you doing before?
I wasn't. I was actually in the food services industry. So I worked for, I actually worked for an American company, Simplot, the potato farmer in Idaho.
Okay.
And but in
They
Australia,
needed some
obviously,
Australian distribution.
a lot of potatoes growing in Tasmania in Australia, and I worked for another company, and I was in that industry for about 10.5 years, and then look, things were coming to an end there for me, and I decided I wanted to seek something new, and I saw this advert in the paper, and I thought that can only be for the Perth Mint, so I went and got the job. And
so you knew about Perth Mint before working there?
Yeah, because it's just part of the history, the fabric within Perth, and it sits kind of in the heart of the city, so you do know about it. And funny enough, in our tours, a lot of school kids come through. Okay. So the first introduction to the Perth Mint is school groups, actually. Mm-hmm. And went along, and I always remember this. I was in the interview with the consultant when the fire alarm went off, and we ended up outside on the street conducting the rest of the interview. Really? I thought that was interesting, and then got a call back, and our CEO at the time, which was our first CEO, Don Mackay-Coghill of the modern Perth Mint, interviewed me the final time, and I got the job.
Okay.
So you came from outside the industry. There's always this kind of light bulb moment for people that come in to work in the space where they really, something clicks, where they understand the product, what it does for the end user and how it works. What was that for you?
Yeah, I always say that in this industry, it feels like it takes longer to settle in than normal, just because it's such an unusual, proof versus bullion, and even when you get into the whole investor bullion speak, it's so very different to the collector speak. So I always feel like it's about 6 months. And I always remember we were working on some product development, and my colleague at the time just said he reckons he actually saw the light bulb moment just go off for me at about I think it was about the 5 month mark, and it was just like, and I even remember at the time thinking, you almost needed that to happen, because you're kind of going, where am I going here? And then you just get into the swing and really understand the business. And as I said earlier, as we say, it either gets in your blood or it doesn't. And obviously, it got into mine.
What's the most rewarding part about working in our industry?
Look, I think there's great people in this industry. I've met some of our wonderful collectors over the years. Even just recently we had a launch of our 125th anniversary Sovereign. And we had our designer down signing the certificates. And these people were just lining up, and they just wanted to talk to the designer, Jen McKenna. Our coining manager was there. They were just blown away. They could talk to the coining manager. I was there just asking them questions about why they collect, and they're just so happy to talk about why they collect and why they love Perth Mint products. So it's wonderful to see. And then, we've got a great bunch of distributors around the world. We go to Berlin every year. We go to ANA every year. In Berlin, we have a booth, and we meet the collectors there, and it's just, again, a wonderful bunch of people. So it's just a fantastic industry to be in. I think it's an exciting industry. The fact that your product is gold and silver is exciting in itself. And then again, you're putting a piece of history out with every release. It's a coin with a year date and something related to a little bit of history there. So I think it's a wonderful industry.
Yeah, I always tell people, there's a reason they're called precious metals, and there's nothing like holding it in your hand. And so, we can walk around. I'm sure the people that work here at the facility, work at Perth Mint, they're used to being around $7 billion of metal. But once you just stop and you put it back in your hand for a moment, you're reminded of why you love it so much and why they're precious. And it never gets old. To this day, for me, picking up a 100-ounce silver bar, or, if we're here at the vault, a gold kilo, it's just, there's really nothing else out there that I've ever experienced where you have that connection with the product like that. And it's special. And to me, it's special for us as stackers. We know what it means to people's future and their financial aspect of their lives. So I think the combination of that is always We go through these cycles, as we all know. Those cycles are really hard to endure getting through. But at the end of the day, when you go back to the people, you get to create the product. You get to put something out to market that, there's really nothing else out there like that. It is a very hard industry for people to understand, and it does take a while to get used to it. But yeah, once it gets in your blood, it's hard to get out. There's no doubt. I mean, I see myself always trading gold and silver. It's such a fun job.
Yeah, it is fun, and every time you're holding a piece of gold that you could kind of freeze where you are in time and go back 1,000 years, and that would have still been considered money at the time. It's a unique opportunity, and there's nothing else really like it. And that's where people that do get involved and do start stacking and collecting, they certainly don't take that for granted. And so that's really fun, trying to find ways to serve those people in ways they want to be met.
Yeah.
Which is, it's the most grounding thing you can do. Unlike producing potatoes.
Correct.
He started a low-carb diet, and that's why he got out of the business. Is that what really happened?
I wish I was on a low-carb diet.
All right, well, we got all the Perth Mint product here. You can find all this for sale at SDBullion.com. Neil, we appreciate the relationship with Perth Mint. We look forward to continuing to expand that relationship. And so we're so excited that you came over to the facility. I know it's out of your way, so we appreciate the extra effort you came to visit us and sit down and having a conversation. I know the viewers are going to love getting to listen to one of the main guys at Perth Mint with all the history you have there. So excited to get everybody's feedback there. But yeah, just thanks for coming over, and thanks for taking the time to do this today.
No, look, thanks for having me. It's been great to come and visit you here. Thanks very much for the tour. Really impressive facility. And, just so glad to have SD Bullion as part of our distributor worldwide.
Awesome. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap up this In Vault podcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more. Give us some comments. Let Neil know how good he did today. Sorry, I think we're tired of talking at this point. But we're going to sign off for now. Have a good day. We look forward to the next one.